Right, ladies and gentlemen, more of the same, I'm afraid. We're going to look today at yet another letter, and we're going to look at yet another boring exercise. A letter of complaint and response. Now we're going to skip writing a letter. We're going to, well, for obvious reasons, which are going to become clear. So we're going to have a look straight at page 21, pre-reading. Now imagine you went on a escorted overseas trip and you were dissatisfied with something about the trip. Would you write and tell the organisation about it in the hope that they would improve the situation? Or would you just forget about it, give your reasons for your answer? Like a lot of things in this book, I don't think it's that clear cut. I don't think you could answer that with a simple yes or no. It would very much depend on what you were unhappy with and how that impacted the way you look back on the situation. So we're going to read this letter of complaint and the response and decide if the writer should have bothered to write on the issue. We're going to discuss it. Okay, so it's we're going to skip that. We're going to go straight to Dear Sir, Madam, query on tipping charges. I have just returned from travelling on the Premium Trans-Mongolian Railway. It was a very well-organised journey. Our tour guide, Jeff Wong, is an excellent tour guide, informative, attentive and competent. However, I would like to bring to your attention a concern that needs addressing at the management level. At the introductory meeting in the hotel foyer in Hong Kong, the tour guide asked us for $70 American each to cover tipping for the whole trip. I understand the need for tipping in the countries we were visiting. I understand that tipping is not for a service above and beyond the call of duty, but considered mandatory for any service. I understand that world trippers needs to keep in favour with the people they deal with on a regular basis in order for these trips to run smoothly in these regions. In addition, I am happy for the World Trippers leader to do the tipping on my behalf. I do not want to be worried about keeping and finding the right amount of local currency to cover all these necessary tips. I do not know, nor do I want to know, what tip is expected for each service in each country. My concern is over not being warned about having to hand over such a large amount of money. It left us very short of cash when we were going to places where cash was difficult to come by. This left us feeling very insecure. We had planned our financial affairs very carefully, and on day one our plans had been unsettled through no fault of ours. I had rung World Trippers twice to check that we would have no financial surprises along the way, and was assured that on this premium tour everything was included. We were also told that all the money we would need would be money for spending on personal items. There was no mention of tipping in any information we received. I would have assumed it was included in the full price we paid for the trip. If it's not included, then it should be, or at least the option of doing so should be available. The idea of a number of people handing over large amounts of money to an informal meeting to a complete stranger and receiving no receipt is not a comfortable one. Surely it is no less comfortable for the tour leader to have to inform an unsuspecting tour group of this extra cost and to try to extract it successfully. Wouldn't it be better for everyone to pay this amount to World Trippers and for the tour leader to withdraw money from an account as and when it's convenient and necessary? I am still of the understanding that this amount for tipping was already included in the cost of the trip, since there was no mention of it and any literature we received, nor in response to the direct questions I posed in telephone conversations with your staff. Could you please clarify this situation at your earliest convenience? I think this is an absolute, I mean, my opinion, I don't want to cloud yours because we're going to discuss this. I think this is an absolutely valid complaint. If this happened to me, I'd be very upset, I'd be angry, I probably would have refused to give the money. Now we're talking about potentially a couple. It does say we. I've just returned, however I'd like to bring attention to the meeting, asked us. The implication is us being a couple or at least several people. So this person, this Sonia, I'm guessing a woman, this woman was asked for $70 to cover tipping after signing up to a premium trip where it was all included and checking twice that it was all included. I would be very angry if somebody said, by the way, I'd like $70 extra. And this kind of thing does happen to me and I get pretty upset about it. Oh, you know, we're adding tax to the bottom of the menu. There was a restaurant I used to go to along the riverfront that's gone now, unfortunately, and they used to add a service charge. So you'd look through the menu, you pay for it, and when you come up to the end, it would be $3 or $4 extra. And you think, well, what's this? And they say, oh, it's service charge. Well, that isn't in the menu. Oh, well, you know, we just charge for service. Well, I mean, that's a tip that you've added to the bottom of the menu. That's not right. I actually got into an argument a little while ago. My normal coffee shop on my street was busy, and there was another one opposite, so I got a coffee there, and it was 5,000, and they asked for 6. And I was like, well, no, it says 5,000 on your menu. She said, yeah, we put the price up. So I don't care if you put the price up. There's nothing on your menu. Yeah, but we've put the price up. And then she went and got her boss, and he came out and said, we've put our price up. I said, I don't care. Your menu there says 5,000. You've not even gone to the trouble of putting a sticker over it and saying that you've put the price up. So I'm not paying that. I'm paying 5,000. Give me my change. And it's only 1,000 real, but I actually got quite angry about it, and they went, oh, here's your money back. And what did they do? They lost a customer. If they'd have just gone, oh, we've put our price up, it's not on the menu, sorry, let me give you back the 1,000 real because it's our fault, not your fault, then they would have gained a customer from it. I would have gone back there. Now I'll never go back there because they made a fuss, they looked stupid, they made themselves look ridiculous, they didn't behave like professionals. Customer service is incredibly important. I would argue that in this town, Phnom Penh, customer service is even more important because in Phnom Penh, we've got a small town vibe. Everybody knows everybody, everyone talks to everybody. If I have a bad experience, I'll tell people, and no one will go there again. We'll all go, oh, I'll skip that one, I'll go to the next one, especially with a coffee shop. There's plenty of choice. So it's very dangerous to annoy your customers in a small town like this. In London, not such a big deal. You know, there's literally millions of people everywhere. You know, you can mess about a little bit and get away with it. But in Phnom Penh, not so much. Not so much. There's only so many customers, there's only so many people, and everybody's fighting for a bit of your money. So you need to look after your customers. So let's see what World Trippers came back with, and let's see if they did a good job of sorting this out. Thank you for your, sorry, no, I've skipped the first bit. Response to query on tipping charges. Thank you for your letter, which we received on the 4th of June. I'm pleased to hear that you enjoyed your trip with World Trippers and that Jeff's experience and enthusiasm as tour leader added to your overall experience. I will let him know your kind comments about him when I see him next. With regard to the issue you raised in your letter, I would indeed like to clarify the situation. Okay, so straight away, we're not off to a terribly good start. Thank you for your letter. I'm pleased to hear. So we've also edited in, I'm going to pass on this compliment on your service. It wasn't a compliment on his service. This is a complaint letter with some additional positive compliments. The fact that you were not informed about the tipping arrangement is the result of an oversight made by our office, and I apologise for any inconvenience this caused. In previous years, we had made it quite clear in the pre-departure information kit that group members would be asked for a voluntary contribution towards the tip kitty. The amount requested varied according to the trip's duration, location, and standard of meals and accommodation. Our premium level of tips are generally among the highest due to the larger number of guides and services employed. This year, we redesigned the brochure, and in the process, the section explaining the tipping was accidentally left out. As I hope Jeff has explained to you, tipping is never compulsory, and the option of tipping is open to any group member, although most groups prefer to leave it to the leader. The local staff we work with do rely on tips to supplement their income, but they are expected to earn the tip through providing an appropriate level of service, while trippers, leaders, are instructed to withhold tips from guides or other staff if they have not performed their duties satisfactorily. Tips are certainly not guaranteed nor mandatory, although there is admittedly a certain degree of expectation. With regard to your suggestion that the amount for tipping be included in our tour cost, I'm afraid this is not feasible. If we were to accept this payment via the office, the cost would escalate due to the cost of administration by agents, office staff and banks involved in the transaction. By getting the tour leader to collect the payments in cash at the beginning of the trip and keep track of how it is used, group members can easily see where their money has gone and have some control over the tips given. Finally, you mentioned that you were contacted us by phone to inquire about any additional expenses and were assured that there were none. I'm at a loss to explain why the consultant that you spoke to did not mention the tipping to you, and I can only think that she assumed you were already aware of the arrangements as set out in the documentation. We only became aware of the missing section when our first groups departed in late March, so it would not be unreasonable to think that at the time that your phone call, she believed that you were already aware of the tipping costs. In any event, you were not provided with prior notice to the extra cost, and I apologise for the distress that you experienced due to this. We're now sending out a letter to explain this issue to our customers prior to their departure. We hope you'll be able to avoid any further confusion. I hope that I have been able to explain the situation to your satisfaction, but please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any further questions or comments. Right. There's a lot wrong with this reply, in my opinion. It's a lot of words that say effectively nothing. The way to deal with a customer, there's 3 stages. First of all, acknowledge the problem. Say, yes, I understand what the problem is. Secondly, apologize for it. I'm very sorry this has happened. And thirdly, resolve it. And there's no resolution here. There are lots of different apologies. There's admission that this is their fault. We made a mistake. We've caused you a problem. And also, we don't agree with you. There's a lot of arguing here. With regard to this section, the amount for tipping be included, I'm afraid it's not feasible. Why is it not feasible? Because their explanation makes no sense. Adding a few extra dollars and then paying the tour guide, it makes no difference. All she's saying is add $70 to the charge, to the cost. And they're saying, no, we don't want to do that because this is a hidden cost. They want to keep their costs low so they get more customers, and then they want to add cost later because customers will let it go, they'll ignore it. So in fact, this is quite nasty. Jeff clearly did not explain that this was voluntary, clearly. This person's got a genuine grievance. So, they're trying to say, a lot of this is your fault. You were wrong about this, you were wrong about this. This is not saying, I accept the problem and I accept the blame. This is saying, we screwed up. There's several places where it says we screwed up, but we're not doing anything about it. Where's the resolution? $70 have gone missing from this customer's bank account, and there's no explanation of what they're going to do about it. All they're saying is, we're going to send a letter to other people so they know, but we're not interested in fixing this for you. If I got this as a reply, this is a fobbing off. This is basically saying, okay, we acknowledge your letter, but we're not really interested in getting you back as a customer next year. The first thing you should do is say, you know what, we're going to refund the money. We're going to give you back your $70 because we failed to explain it properly. Jeff clearly needs some retraining. I'm sorry that you didn't get the impression that this was voluntary. Jeff should have done that. This is not a compliment on Jeff. Jeff has made a mistake. I don't think Jeff made a mistake. I think Jeff was told, take the $70 from them. I think this is his job, and I think these people here have not just made a mistake. I think they know what they're doing, and I think they've tried to cut all the costs and add the cost to the customer. And this is what we see a lot of. I think the business practice here is unacceptable. We haven't apologized, we haven't accepted blame, we haven't resolved the problem. All we've done is basically push the problem away. We're saying, this is why it happened, but how are you making sure it doesn't happen again? I mean, we're saying we're going to send out a letter. I don't actually believe this. From reading this, I get the feeling this is a lie. We redesigned our brochure and we forgot to say that we were doing something that doesn't make any sense. Asking for extra money in an all-inclusive paid thing doesn't quite make sense anyway. So a lot of issues here that don't fit together for me. I'd be very unhappy if I got this. Our phone service, you phoned us twice, we didn't give you a message. There's nowhere here where they're saying, we've screwed up and we want to make this good. We'd like to offer you a free discount. We'd like to offer you something else. We'd offer you a voucher. We'd offer you $70 back, refund it, anything. I wouldn't be happy with this. If a business treated me like this, the very least they would do is lose me as a customer. But of course, this is my opinion. So let's go through the questions here. Let's go through questions 1 through 12. And then the reading for ideas, I think we're going to do as a discussion separately. So do the questions 1 through 12. We'll go through the answers, and then we'll come back and look at the reading for ideas afterwards.